Hi everyone, this is Pamela, and for the ones who don't know me, I am from Venezuela. I am 33 years old, and today's video it's more to talk about the differences between the sociopath and the psychopath. And I'm going straight to the point where they have a few similarities, and one of them is that they belong to the antisocial, the personality disorder. And of course, both of these people tend to be narcissistic. But I have to clarify that that doesn't mean that all narcissistic are psychopath or sociopath. That's not correct. But all sociopath and psychopath, they are actually narcissists. Okay, and to clarify that, I would like to start by talking about the sociopath. And sadly, these people tend to grow in an environment that, it has a lot of difficult situation, and especially I kind of understand why they tend to have this behavior when they become adult, as when they are children they tend to face a lot of situations that they are not supposed to, as an abuse for parents, neglection, or living in a lot of foster homes, feeling abandonment. And that it's like an enabler for them to become in a really unhealthy or very toxic adult. And other thing that they have as a characteristic is that they tend to get bored really fast, as they don't have goals. So basically they always look for something to do, but what they actually look for doing is violating the rules of the law. They love to scam people, to manipulate people, and that's why they are very dangerous for society, because they have a conscience. That doesn't mean that they don't feel remorse for what they do. They do actually, but it is a weak conscience, because even though they feel remorse, that doesn't mean that they will stop doing whatever they do that will harm other people. So what happens with them? They tend to be the people that they don't plan ahead, as they never have a goal. They sometimes are not very smart, as they are not able to commit into something, so that's why they tend to change a lot from jobs. And they never have this long-term relationship, as they don't know how to actually develop a very healthy relationship with others. That's pretty obvious. But because of that, sometimes they are not very violent, but most of the times they are. And they don't actually measure the consequences of their actions. So that's why when it comes for them to committing a crime, it is very easy to cut them, because as they didn't plan ahead, they leave a lot of evidence around, and that's why it is so easy for the police to find out they did what they did. And most of the time they act for impulsiveness. They feel really angry, and they don't know how to control their emotions because of all of the situation that I was saying in the beginning. They live through their childhood, and that doesn't mean that I am excusing their behavior whatsoever. It's just that I am explaining what it's behind the way they are, why they act the way they do, and what kind of example I can use of someone who is a sociopath. Well, I can name David Barnett. That it was a case that I was watching a while ago on Netflix, a documentary, and I will leave a link below so you can actually check from a little bit of a story and what he did. And it's kind of sad, the life that he had. It was very difficult. He never knew what love was, and of course, that led him just to commit a crime that just made him stay in jail for forever. So another person that I'm going to consider that is a sociopath, as he didn't plan ahead. I mean, he wasn't very organized about the crime he committed. It was Chris Watt, that we all know who he was. And for the ones that don't know, I'm gonna let the link below so you can just research a little bit more about him. And what he did was kind of very impulsive, and perhaps he thought that whatever he planned was going to be okay, but perhaps that maybe he feels a little bit of remorse, but I'm not sure. Perhaps he's kind of more psychopathic. But anyways, I think he was a sociopath as he wasn't smart enough in the way he carried on with his crime. So he was caught really easily. So perhaps I'm mistaken. I'm really open to any, correction. Someone say that no, that Chris is not a sociopath. So now I'm going to talk about the psychopath, that it's a little bit different from this other person or sociopath that I was talking about, because they tend to be really smart. They are actually very clever in the way they cope with society. They can have really normal life. They can get married, they have children, they are very respected people, as they see people as objects. They never see them as actual people who has feelings. They have this imbalance in their brain that makes them, function in a very different way. So they're really good at manipulating us. They have no feelings the same way that we have it. And sadly, for this person, they are not going to feel, any type of empathy towards you, even though if you're a victim of a psychopath. They are not going to feel sorry for whatever you're feeling at the moment. They are doing something to you. They generally tend to have a lot of success in their work life, as they always see, people as an obstacle, that maybe someone is there and it's competing to get a position in their job. They're going to do what it takes to get you out of their way. And they're not always killers. They're not always someone who's going to be violent, but they are like bad news. It's that kind of person that it's always going to do something that it's going to affect you. They only care about themselves. They're really selfish. And it's not necessary that they had a bad childhood. They maybe come from a really good family. It's just that their brain make them be as they are. Remember, they function in a very different way. So other thing that perhaps they have is that they don't have a conscience whatsoever. Like I was saying, they will never feel bad about you. So the fact that perhaps you're a really kind person doesn't mean that other people will react the same way that you do in a situation that perhaps many people will feel altered normally. For example, when you're watching a movie and there is a scene where there is a lot of blood, maybe your heart rate is going to be really high or really fast. But they are going to be at ease in this type of situation where you normally are nervous. So among other things, they are really calm, but they do plan ahead, especially when they want to commit a crime. They plan so well that it takes a really long time to actually discover that they committed a crime. So that's why I thought about two persons that, to me, they are the perfect psychopath. And who are they? Jeffrey Epstein. He took advantage of his power, of the money that he had, to get away with, this awful thing that he was doing to these, children, these teenagers in the past, as raping them. And taking advantage of that and knowing that, isolating them, he will be able to do whatever he could with them. Other person that, to me, that was one of the most scary one, because we tend to trust a lot of in the doctors, is Shipman. I think that's his name. I'm gonna leave the link below of each one of the examples that I'm saying for you to make a little bit more of research about them. And Harold Shipman was a doctor, and you tend to trust a lot of them, and he actually killed 200 people, and of course, all of them were his patient. And it is something you never imagine, because as you see him or you see his picture, he looked like a really normal person. And it is something that it is really surprising, because you never know who is actually a psychopath until you maybe have to face a situation where you are maybe in danger, or you lose your job, or other situation that they always get what they want. So I just wanted to point out the differences among them, just to conclude about the differences between the sociopath and the psychopath. Is that the sociopath is made as the environment, make them be the way they are. But the psychopath, is the one that the sociopath is the one that it's made as the environment made them be the way they are. But the psychopath is the one that it is born. So as they have the brain, an adjustment as they have it, so they are gonna act the way they do, even though they come from a really loving family. So understanding that will give you the tools to know that not everyone around you is going to be a really good person. And even though you are a good person, doesn't mean that the people that is going to be surrounding you, it's going to be the same. So if you like the video and you find it or you found it really useful, I want you to subscribe. And as I always say, I do this with all my love, and I see you next week. Bye bye.